What's going on, Station Athletics? I know you're probably not expecting to see my beautiful face to start this podcast or hear my beautiful voice for you guys listening, guys and gals. My name is JJ Valentin. I'm the head of media here at Station Athletics, and I am here with our wonderful COO, Christopher Hardenberg.
It's weird being on the other end.
In his final ever podcast episode. Let me see. I don't remember what episode this is. 86, I believe.
I think so.
Episode 86. Chris's farewell. How's it feel?
Very strange. This was something where we kind of talked about it, potentially doing this for a couple of reasons. One is, I've been doing 86 episodes of this.
85.
I've been on, yes, every episode but
82,
one.
except for one or two with Dave.
Yes. And so, it would be a change to put someone else on the podcast and not have me on anymore. So we kind of both thought it might make the most sense to kind of include an episode on that change. And then in addition to that, frankly, JJ, I haven't found a good way to talk to all the members I've come in contact with over the last 8+ years. And so I was like, okay, I've talked to a lot of our staff members. I've gotten messaging out to a bunch of different people, but it's with 6 locations. I'm at each location in varying capacities. So I was like, all right, maybe we just film a podcast. I can kind of get it out there to as many people in the community as possible. And again, kind of this way, it's like not a shock. You know what I mean? So that was kind of the premise of why we decided to do this.
Yeah, it's not a sudden, you tune into episode 87 and all of a sudden Chris isn't there.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's like, well, where'd this Chris guy go? Did he just disappear and on bad terms or something like that? No, not at all.
No. So yeah, this is going to be my last episode with Station Athletics. I mean, unless someone decided to pull me back on, right, as in a guest role.
No, we're not doing that.
JJ's like, you're never coming back. But it's been pretty crazy. I've worked for Joe for over 8 years. Like I said, you've
known him for a while. I didn't realize that you've been around for 8 years.
2017. I was working at a gym previously. That was honestly an epic mess. I was a coach there, and I'll never forget. I walked in. I'll never forget this. The gym looked like it was bumping. And I was like, now, granted, I'm exhausted because I'm coaching so many classes. I have so many individual clients or personal training clients. But the gym's packed constantly. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, we are crushing it. And I'll never forget, I walked into the gym and one of the owners who was like, there were 4 owners, already not a great start. But the one guy who was there pretty consistently, his head is in his hands. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Everything all right? He goes, we have no money. I was like, what do you mean we have no money? He goes,
am I getting paid?
Yeah. He was like, I wasn't watching the bank accounts and we were just spending. And I was like, what? So I kind of took it on myself to try to turn the business around. But I didn't know what I was doing. I was just making it up as I went. I was thrust into a role, frankly, I did not have the skills to execute on. And then there were some other circumstances, each owner had their own personal situations that were bleeding into the business. So it got to the point where I was like, I got to get out of here. And so I reached out to Joe because I was training at Roseland probably about once a week. I was like, dude, do you need a coach? And he's like, no, but I need someone to run my Roseland location because he was basically like, I'm drowning. And so I was like, all right, man,
Was this in the first location or the second one for Roseland? Because wasn't there 2?
No, just one. Oh.
The first gym,
yes. So the first time, the Roseland was first at Dorset Ave in Livingston. Mm-hmm. And I think it was technically CrossFit Dorset Ave at that point. And then they moved to Roseland and became CrossFit Roseland. I started when they were already in the Roseland location. Okay. So I was like, all right, man, I'll give this a shot. And I'll never forget, he brought me in and he's like, hey, man, I'm going to be honest, I'm a little nervous. He's like, I've never hired someone to do sales and run a location. It had always been him. But he's like, with 2 locations, buzzing back and forth. I'm sure a lot of the OG Station Road members can say, they barely saw Joe, never when he was trying to get Roseland off the ground. And so he was like, I can only pay you commission only. So it was like, I only got paid if I signed up members, which was scary for me, but I had no other option. So I was like, all right, man, I'll give this a shot. And so fortunately, that was 2017. And so, yeah, I've been working for Joe for multiple iterations of Station Athletics since then.
It's crazy. Almost a decade.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
And a lot has happened. I mean, in my 8 years specifically, not that this hasn't happened at other times, but a lot has gotten packed in because I started in 17. We grew to 7 locations by 2020, but they weren't all solely owned. So there were a bunch of partnerships. Like Joe partnered with someone for Verona. He partnered with someone in East Rutherford. He tried to franchise originally at the Denville location. So there was a lot of, like, honestly, and Joe will say this too, piecemealing and like multiple brands.
It's a trial and error.
100%. Mm-hmm. And so then there were a lot of things that didn't go great. And 2019 was a rough year for the business. And then just as we dug ourselves out of it, COVID hit. So then that was a rough time. And then fortunately we were able to springboard out and grow to 6-7 locations again. And now Joe owns all of them. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of changes and adjustments and iterations in the last 8 years.
And we definitely have like the groundwork now.
Yeah.
Of like, we have our name, we have our brand, we know who we are, we know what we're trying to do, we know where we want to go, we know what we're offering to our members. We figured it all out now, thanks to you and Joe.
Well, I appreciate
you
that
too.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of things, over the last year we've had to also like reconfigure, which is going to happen. There's multiple levels in business, and we grew really fast and really aggressively to a point. And then this year we thought was going to be more of a growth year, and it ended up being more of a reset year where it's like, all right, the way we kind of structure things was actually not sustainable. And the only way you learn that really is twofold. You get into it yourself and you do it, or you pay someone who's ahead of you to kind of explain and coach you through those steps. And so unfortunately we did the first one. And so we did a lot of that. But I'm pretty confident in, stepping out. The way I look at it is like this. And I've said this to multiple people, especially to Shannon and Joe. Shannon's going to be filling in for me. Is like, as I step out, if I were to step out and things were to go poorly, then I did a bad job. Really, at the end of the day, if someone was to build an actual sustainable business, there has to be things in place, standard operating procedures, a handbook, rules and regulations on how we do things, right? Internally, that's the brand. What are our core values? What are we about? And how do we do things? And it's like, if you don't actually nail those down and ingrain it into your staff, then when that person leaves, or if it's the business owner, right, they sell, the business goes to hell in a handbasket. And so that was something I said to people was like, you guys are going to do fine, and honestly probably take it to a higher level than I ever could, because it's like, over the last couple of years, I was learning. Joe was learning. Now it's like Shannon comes in, or Dave or Joe, and it's like, we have all this knowledge, and I made all these mistakes. That's like, you can just start from there and go forward.
You're going to figure it out now.
Exactly. And so yeah, I'm pretty stoked for where the business is going to go going forward, for sure.
And you've definitely tested, obviously you've tested out the process of how it works. Because, once you open up a gym and you figure out the process, you just follow those exact steps again. And obviously each location will have different challenges when it comes to members and trying to get clientele. But for the most part, it seems like you just got to follow the template, and
especially the service.
Be successful.
Yeah, especially the service. It's like, this is how you run a class. This is how you need to warm people up. This is how you need to coach, cue, and correct, right? When you're doing nutrition, this is how you assign the first meal plan. If you see this is a way you go to tweak. This is it's an education piece, but you're right. It's like, if you can replicate those things, then you can grow. And then it's just creating the infrastructure for management. Who do you talk to about certain topics? Who do you go to if you have certain questions, and ironing out those lines of communication. And there's going to be, again, consistent checks and balances on that. But if you can do that, then a business can continue to grow.
You really got to figure it out.
I don't know that I got to figure it out.
Well, for the most part,
yeah.
It seems like.
Well, and
done it enough.
And I hope so, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to be working for a company called Gym Academy. And so I'm going to be coaching gym owners on how to grow their gym business. And so that's something. It's like, and listen, I don't know if it's come through in these podcasts. If you ask some of our employees, they've been in meetings. You were at the conference last year. Like, I can get pretty fired up.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
Just a little bit.
yeah. And I over the last 8 years, like I've been so fired up, like about what we're doing here, how we help people, how we're creating opportunities for our staff, and that hasn't changed. For me, and I said this to Joe, you know, I have a newborn on the way. I have 2 small kids. Yeah, they're getting into activities. And I just kind of said, you know, what's asked of me in this position, not what's asked of me, let me rephrase that. What I know is that's required in this position for right now, for the company to be successful, I don't know that I'm the guy that can deliver that. And that was a hard realization to come to. Mm-hmm. But I also said to him, I'm like, one of my other passions is just the gym industry in general. This industry, in my opinion, and I'm 100% biased, I've been in it for 10 years, is so geared around helping people, and like the overweight epidemic in this country is insane. And so to actually have the ability for gym owners to help people is super important to me. On the flip side of that, it's a very poor demographic. like gym owners are not a wealthy set of people. And not that the goal is to get wealthy, but the goal, like if you have a family and you're running a business, like there is an element of like, I have to put food on the table for my family, mm-hmm. right? And I'll never forget, Joe and I went to the CrossFit Games, I want to say maybe 2023, maybe it was 2 years ago. And we were just kind of talking about what we were doing at Station Athletics. We were hanging out with like the tier team and like some of the people coming around. And I can't tell you how many people were like, "Oh, you guys are like are being successful with the gyms." And we're like, "Yeah, why?" I kid you not, the number of people at the CrossFit Games that were like, "Oh, I've actually never met someone who like was successful and happy in the gym industry." And it like,
it's shocking,
dude, it broke my heart because I was just like,
especially at the games.
Yes. Like these are people that are about it. Like mm-hmm. not, and I'm not talking about the athletes. I'm talking about, again, we were hanging out with the tier people in the tier tent, people who were walking the grounds, people who were maybe at another vendor like tent, right? Because we were with a couple people who were pretty well connected, and they're like, "Oh, here's so-and-so, meet this person, whatever, mm-hmm. whatever." And so it's like, oh yeah, I or even people who are former gym owners who are like, "Oh, I had to get out."
Yeah.
And it's like, man, like that is such a subsect of the population that could be helping so many people. But it's like, oh yeah, I grinded my face off for 8 years and I couldn't ride the poverty line anymore. So yeah, I went to sell insurance and I hate doing it, but it is what it is. And it's like, that person was so equipped to help so many people, but just didn't have someone in their corner teaching them like, hey, this is how you do the business side, mm-hmm. so your business can stay open to help as many people. And so, I mean, Joe knows this because we've talked about this a bunch, is like, that's what I'm going to be doing going forward. And so it allows me to still work in my passion and in a capacity that I can give back to the community. And like I said, it was an unfortunate realization I had to make, that it's like, okay, with my current life situation and what the business needs to take it to the level Joe and I have wanted to take it to, like, I feel like I have to hand the baton to the next person.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you've definitely laid the groundwork. That's for sure.
I hope so.
You definitely did. We've, 8 years here, and we've seen success, we've seen failure, and you've grown, and we're still here.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I know I just joined almost a year ago now, officially, or actually a year ago as a part-time.
Yep.
But from what I've seen, I mean, I was there in the beginning too.
I was about to say, you have a unique perspective.
I was there in the beginning because my parents went to Station Athletics when I was in high school. That's how they met, actually. And that was my introduction to working out, because I played sports, played football, played lacrosse, played basketball. So like I wasn't like a kid who just wasn't active, but that I wasn't working out yet, because I was at that age where you're learning how to work out. So I remember summer of 8th grade, I think is what it was. Summer going into high school. So summer after 8th grade is where I started taking classes. That's when I met Joe for the first time. So my mom obviously knew everyone already, because she'd been going for a few years. And this was like my intro to the world. And it's so cool to see, like, even look back at old videos of like the old Sparta location of what it used to be before it was extended, where everything was organized, the classes that were there, the people that were there, and just seeing how much bigger it's gotten now. Because, I mean, they used to be, it was always Sparta Station Athletics, not Station Athletics at Sparta, because we have all these different gyms that we had to kind of rebrand and change it from Station Athletics at all the different locations as opposed to just town name Station Athletics. But no, it's cool. I mean, I'd stepped away for a little while just to go get my education.
Get a degree.
And it's cool coming back and still seeing it's around and seeing how much it's grown. And I know you've definitely unthankful job. Is that the word?
A thankless job.
Thankless job. There it is. Because obviously I didn't know really who you were until I came back. Mm-hmm. And I mean, obviously you've been behind the scenes for a while, and I mean, you've helped it grow to where it is now. And that's huge. Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, you know, in my position, Shannon, don't listen to this. It's, you end up dealing with a lot of people's just crap. Right. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing. You know, every job, every position has what's called bugs or features, right? Bugs are things that you have to fix. Features are like, it's just the nature of the job, right? A feature of being a fireman is you're going to run into fires, right? It's unavoidable. That's just the way it is. A feature of management is you're going to have to manage people's emotions, right? That's just the way it is. And so in my position, there's a lot of like, and Joe can attest to this because we've had to be this person for each other. And Joe, you know, if you are listening, I hope I can still be this person for you in the future. Is like, we're not people who hear like, man, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate it. Often, if at all. And it's not because people maybe don't think that, but it's like, you're the problem solver, right? You're the person who comes to like, this is not good. This sucks. How do we fix this? And so like, you have to have you have to come with a unique disposition to that. And you have to realize some tough things. Like, I'll never forget, we had some change at one of our locations, and I had to have a tough conversation with one of our staff members who was pretty upset with how things were handled. And there were aspects of what this person said that was 100% correct. That is like, you know what? This probably should have been handled a little bit differently. However, right, there's some aspects that you have to understand and see what the bigger picture is. That like, as much as you liked for me to be in person at this location all the time, it's like, we're a part of an ecosystem that's much bigger than that. And so that can get lost because a lot of people, whether it's a member or staff member, they get caught in their bubble of like, well, this is a problem here. It's like, I know, but that problem, there's another 10 of them at your location times 6 to 7. And so it's like, that takes a lot of like prioritizing and shifting. And so it is a balance. And I don't say that to be like, woe is me. It's more of like, hey, you know, it has been a learning experience. And I had to explain to this person that like, I had to come to the realization in my position, just maturity wise, is like, people don't care about your problems. People care about their problems.
Exactly. And
so it's like, at the end of the day, like, no one cares what I'm got going on. It's like, my job is to serve our staff. And it's not until this end of things that you can then have the conversation of like, hey man, I really appreciate everything you did. And I've been blessed. Like, since I let our staff know, everyone has been like, man, thank you for all you've done. And so I did want to say that it's been humbling to get that feedback. And like I said, my plan, and Joe's been very gracious, my plan is to continue to work out at Denville.
I was going to say, are we still going to see you around?
Yeah, so I'm still going to be around mostly at Denville, so sad face to all the other locations. I live in Denville. The gym is 3 minutes from my house.
Oh, you can still stop by Sparta.
But that's the plan. I mean, I don't know what my days are going to look like with a new job, but you know, I don't want to be a stranger. And Joe's been adamant, and he's made it pretty known, like, dude, come around, have your wife come around, like, come to community events. And so that's cool that it's like, because not every boss is like that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be pretty understanding too. Like, it's not like you're leaving because you absolutely despised it here, right?
No,
Just life.
and
happens.
that's what it is. It's like, if circumstances were different, I'd still be working here because I love what I do. I love what we stand for. I love what we're building. And like I said, I do think what the demands of this position is going to look like 6 months to a year from now is going to look vastly different. And that might be something where that position 6 months to a year from now, I might be able to do. But I just know that, like, again, what's being asked of me at home and here, it's like, I need the business needs someone who can deliver on that. So
cool. Well, thank you from me to everything you've done, helping
Thanks,
me out,
man.
helping me get incorporated into this role. I know you've had a lot of changes within the organization that you've definitely handled very well.
I appreciate that.
As for the future of the podcast, obviously Chris will be stepping away. You'll no longer see his beautiful face on camera and hear his wonderful voice on through Spotify and all the other podcast platforms we have. We're going to kind of shift, right? We're not going to be having an episode every week like we've been doing since the beginning. We are still in the talks of it, but we're probably going to look at like 2 to 3 episodes a month as opposed to the 4, which honestly isn't that big of a shift, but it's still a pretty decent shift.
Yeah.
And the topics we're going to be talking about, we're going to see a return of the wonderful Joe Pa. He's going to probably step back in to talk about some topics because he does have a great knowledge of a lot of stuff that we talk about, as well as, I mean, he likes telling people what's going on. He likes informing everyone what's going on, and he's really passionate about it. So him getting back in the role, and this is like his platform to be able to talk about it more. So he wants to step back in and talk about it. And we're probably going to have a few other guests on, not really interviews per se, but more so talking about programming, talking about what's going on across the gyms. I know I have the news and updates series that we've had on YouTube, so we'll probably turn one of the episodes a month into that, or one of the podcast episodes into that, just so you guys can stay updated. It's more relatable stuff. And yeah, any other future updates we'll keep you guys updated with. But that's kind of the vision we have so far.
You guys are in good hands. JJ's been doing this for a minute, and yeah, I'm excited to see kind of what creatively you do with this.
Should be interesting.
Yeah.
Going to be a little more run and gun let loose. We're gonna have some fun. We are PG rated for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say?
I mean, listen, the only thing I got is, like, personally, from the bottom of my heart, just want to say thank you to everyone. I mean, I walked into Roseland in a bad personal spot, and I think I talked through this maybe on one of the podcasts, but I had a lot of promises made to me at my last gym that fell through. I had came from a school district as a teacher that kind of let me out to dry. And I came to Station Athletics, and I came to Joe, having just sold my house because I couldn't make the payments anymore, having to move my 1-year-old and pregnant wife in with my parents and dig my way out of a pretty bad spot. And by the grace of God, I was able to do that while doing something I'm so passionate about. So
You really took a risk accepting that role.
It was a risk, but it was at the same time, it was like I was in a corner. It's like, all right, what else am I going to do? Just nothing.
You
So
can back down and keep swinging.
that's it. And so, shout out to everyone at Roseland, all the OG members. I joke with, there's a member, I hope he watches this. There's a member there, his name's Rich Kimowitz. I call him, I see how I go, Rich, you were member number 1. He was the first guy I ever signed up. And I remember him because he came in and he was like, the challenge just stresses me out. Can I just sign up for a membership? And I had to do no sales. I was just like,
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, come on, let's sign. And I joke with him. It's like, if you've ever been in a sales role, it's like, in a new role, sometimes you need that first person to be like, all right, I got this. And Rich was that person for me. So shout out to Rich. And so, and that whole crew at Roseland. And then Everyone at each one of the gyms, the 2 Sparta gyms, everyone's been so good to me. Every time I come into the 330 at Station Road, everyone's busting chops, and I'm like a little kid in a candy store. I've been helping to run Summit for a little while. Ledgewood I had to run for a little while, and so I got to know some of the members really well there. Then you have Denville. My wife comes here all the time. A lot of the coaches here I helped hire or on ramp, and so I've been super involved at all the locations, and still with the size of the company, have gotten to know some of the members. So just wanted to thank all the members who have put their trust in us. Thank all the staff who's put their trust in me and trusted my guidance and advice. And it's been a fun ride, and fortunately I'll still be around. But just wanted to say thank you to everybody.
Cool. Well, Denville people, you guys are lucky you get to see Chris as much as you guys want, or as much as he comes here. So you guys are the lucky ones. Stop by Sparta.
Yeah, I will.
Get some workouts in. Of all this time we've worked together, we've never actually worked out together.
Which is hilarious. Well, you're always early, bro.
Of course I'm early. I gotta get up early. I need to start my day. I need to have my suffering in the beginning of the day so it can't get any worse.
There you go.
You want to sign us off one last time?
I will. As always, guys, like and subscribe to us on YouTube and Instagram. Give us a 5-star rating on the podcast platform you listen on. And this, before I sign us off, this slogan was, we stumbled into it, which is the funniest thing. I remember, I don't know what video we were filming. I said it, and I'll never forget. Joe looks at me and goes, dude, that's really good. That should be our thing. And I was like, you're right. And it just stuck. So everybody, I'll see you at the gym.